Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly class here on the Navigating Parenting platform membership site. Thank you so much for joining us and for being here and for making conscious parenting, conscious living a part of your journey and a part of your children's journey and your family's journey. Um, first of all, thank you and welcome. I wanted to talk about something a little different than what we usually do. Usually we talk a lot about our interactions with our children. But today I want to talk about our interaction with ourselves. Because in order to truly embody conscious parenting, conscious living, first and foremost is a need to take care of ourselves consciously. It is impossible to expect from ourselves to show up patient, gentle, and respectful if we're not taking the time to invest and to give to ourselves. And so I want to talk about that because I say that, but at the same time, I imagine many of you are thinking, well, I don't have time for that, right? Or how can I fit that into my day? Or I don't even know where to start or what to do. I think that one of the most important things to note is that one of the major reasons why parenting can feel stressful and difficult really doesn't have much to do with our children and really has so much more to do with ourselves. Because the same challenge could happen with our child, and we might feel really overwhelmed by it, or we could feel like, oh, really empowered by it because I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, I'm in a place in a space where I know how to support my child through this. And I feel awesome when I do, right? That same moment of our child tantruming or screaming or freaking out could be a moment where we get really overwhelmed, or it could be a moment where we are able to use it to dig and go deeper inside with our child and make it actually a beautiful moment of connection and growth and happiness. Um, it So much of it comes back to our ability to take care of ourselves. Why? Because when we're coming from a balanced, regulated place, then we're going to feel really good and empowered and able to take on those challenges. So I want to talk about that today because I really want to give ourselves some credit. It's like we can learn all of the amazing tools that conscious parenting offers, tools and language, but there are so many triggers around us all the time. Our partner or lack of partner might be very triggering for us, even if they're wonderful and supportive, or if we don't have a partner, if they're not around, just the fact that we don't have a partner can be really triggering for us. Our work can be really triggering for us. I mean, driving down the street, someone cutting us off can be triggering. Being woken up really early in the morning and feeling grouchy is really triggering. There are so many triggers around us. And we can prepare for certain triggers. If we know things are going to be difficult and triggering for us, we can set ourselves up so that we give ourselves the care that we need, or we can, figure out how to not avoid, but we can figure out how to, find different ways so that we don't put ourselves in triggering situations. But at the same time, there are so many triggers that just show up that we can't plan for, that there's nothing we can really, that we're not expecting. So sometimes we see the triggers and sometimes we don't. But there so many of them are there. And so we need to, as parents, take care of ourselves first before we can expect from ourselves to parent consciously. So let's spend some time talking about what that self-care looks like for ourselves, right? What does it mean that we need to be taking care of ourselves? So I think I gave a whole class on this idea of noticing what our needs are and getting our needs met. Now, needs don't have to be, um, we don't need to devote an hour every day to exercise or meditation. We might not have the ability to do that, right? We might not have the ability to go to a spa and get those treatments. We might not have the ability to um, to get away for a weekend, right? Even though those are things we'd like to do, they may not be within our means. So our mind always needs to be in this place of What can I do for myself to get those needs met? For example, if I'm someone who would love to take a weekend away, but it's not going to happen, why do I want to take the weekend away? Is it because I really need some quiet alone time? Okay, so how can I figure out how to put that into my day, right? Is it because I really want like a break of no cooking and cleaning? How can I figure out how to get that into my day and my space, in order to get that need met? So, for example, if I really need a break from cooking and cleaning, right? But I'm on a budget and I don't have someone to help me with those things. Um, Look into when are you doing those things, right? Look into how you can creatively get yourself out of those things. I'm not saying you're going to be able to get yourself out from cleaning for like a month. That won't happen. That's not realistic, right? But if like usually you clean up when the kids go to sleep at night and you really just need a break from it, take a break. Go to sleep with the house messy. And in the morning, when the kids are awake and you have to be awake anyway, that's when you do your cleaning. Maybe you incorporate them into it, right? Or maybe you just take a break or two and you let stuff accumulate, and then you're just going to like power through it in 2 days, but you allow yourself the break that you need from it, right? Let's say having expensive takeout isn't an option for you. Order a pizza. You don't feel like cooking, just do it. Listen to your needs. These are very basic examples I'm giving because I'm trying to frame it in a way that everyone can relate to. But the idea is that we need to look into what our needs are, okay, and make sure that they're getting met. Because if they're not getting met, then we're not going to be able to parent and to live from our best selves. Because what's happening is we're operating from a deficit. Now, getting our needs met are really important. Another really important, so an important question to ask yourself is, what are your needs? What are the things that you need in order to be able to show up for yourself and as a parent every day? I know for myself that I actually, it's interesting because I come on here and you just see the result of what I'm sharing with you, right? You don't see everything else that goes into me being able to come here and share with you. Or if you're a private client of mine or you're following me on Instagram, you see me showing up on those platforms, but you don't see everything that I have to do in order to bring myself to a place where I can share with you in this way. It's not just like I can't just come and do it. There's so much that I do to regulate and calm myself in order to be able to show up for you. And it's been a lot of trial and error. It's been a lot of figuring out, like, how can I do it in a really time sensitive way? Because right now, as I'm sitting here with you, I still have a child at home and I don't have childcare for her. So, like, it's crazy, right? A 2-year-old. And then, so I really don't have that much time for myself, but I'm still figuring out how to get in time for myself. How do I do that? It feels and seems impossible at times, but I know that I can't show up for you. And I also can't show up for my children if I'm not doing that. I can't show up for myself. And then it's like, well, I might be spending all this time with them, but it's for naught because I'm irritated, I'm annoyed, I'm not appreciating it, I'm upset about it. I'm feeling impatient, or I'm feeling angry or frustrated, or, wishing that I could be doing could be somewhere else, or could be doing something else. So I figured out small ways to get those needs met so that I can show up. We have to constantly be filling our cups, myself included. Okay. So for me, that looks like lighting a candle. I have a candle right next to me, and doing a very short meditation that works for me, and everyone has to find the thing that works for them in order to connect deeply with my soul, so that I come from a full place. It's not coming from like, just like my thoughts and my brain. I really try always to connect with my heart and come from my heart when I come to share with you. And that goes for when I speak with my children too. If I'm just constantly in my brain and I'm not feeling where they are, and I'm not feeling what it is that they need, then I can't give them as much as I could when I do. So it's about taking that time to bring myself, for me, into my heart space so that I can be open and I can be creative and I can feel full enough to happily share with others. Not just share, not just give, but do it from a really complete place where I really want to give, so that it's real and it's authentic, and it can also then energetically fill you up too, right? So I have figured out how to get my needs met in simple, easy ways. And it's all available to you, and you can, and it's life changing. It's totally life changing. Now, here's a really deep question. And here's the next question you need to ask yourself. Okay. What is it that's keeping you from taking care of yourself? And the answer of my children, my toddler, my husband, my work, the chores of the house are not real answers. And they're not answers I'm going to accept from you, because I'm going to hold you to a much higher standard. The question to ask yourself is, what is keeping you from taking care of yourself? And that can really truly look different for every single person, right? What is keeping you from taking care of yourself? And that's kind of a question that might require some deep internal digging, okay? Because there are many different things that keep us from taking care of ourselves. There's all those physical things, like the kids, responsibilities, there's not enough time in the day. I'm talking about the feeling of I don't deserve it, the feeling of, or the thought that I don't come first. A good mom puts their children, a good mom puts their children first. A good wife puts their husband first. A good parent is completely self-sacrificing and not taking care of themselves. Or, you know, I'm just don't want to. I don't care enough about myself to do it. What is it that's keeping you from taking care of yourself? What is it? Are you afraid that if you start to take care of yourself, you'll actually be happy? Are you afraid that if you start to take care of yourself, start to get your needs met, then you'll actually, be able to accomplish a lot more and you won't be able to complain about it? Are you afraid that if you actually start taking care of yourself and you start to get your needs met and you're feeling good, then someone else is going to ask you to do more? What is it that's keeping you? What is that little voice inside of you telling you that's keeping you from your next level, from your happiness, from your growth, from your connection with yourself? Again, like I said, this question might require some digging, right? It might really require us to get really quiet and to and to think. But this is such an important thing, and you can ask yourself this today and you may have the answer, and then in a week or 2 or 3 weeks from now, when you're feeling completely burnt out again and you're feeling upset and you're not able to parent or live from a conscious place, you go back, you can always go back to these questions. What am I needing right now? And what am I believing about myself that's keeping me from getting my needs met? So it can also be that we may believe that, the feeling of overwhelm, let's say, I know that the feeling of overwhelm of like, we can't handle all of it. We're juggling so much and we can't handle it is a really big one for a lot of parents. This feeling of overwhelm, right? Like I can't handle everything, or I don't have any support around me, right? Because we don't live near family or our family isn't helpful. I don't have support around me. And that can keep us from getting our needs met. This feeling and this belief that I don't have support around me. And so that's my excuse of why I can't take care of myself. I'm not deserving of that support. I'm not deserving of that love, because then what happens is we put that projection of ourselves into the universe. We believe it so deeply about ourselves that that's what we keep attracting. It's up to us as a parent to switch this mindset about ourselves. And it's so important. It's as important as being on here on this platform to gain the right words to say. It's as important as being on this platform to learn the language, to get the tools, to set yourself up, for success when you're talking to your child. Because if you're not regulated, if you're not calm, if you're not connected with your soul, the right words won't come. I'm not here to give you the words, to give you scripts. I know a lot of people do that. And I do give scripts a lot of times, like on social media, because the words, we don't know the right words a lot of times because we've never heard them ourselves. But ultimately, I want to give you those words to open your mind up to the possibilities of what you can say. But ultimately, what I believe my purpose is here is to help you find those right words from within yourself. And those words are going to look different than my words. But the only way to be able to find those words for yourself is to nurture and nourish yourself so that you can connect with the deepest, strongest, most able part of yourself to then connect with your children. Right? So, we started off by saying that there are so many triggers all around us. They trigger us all day long. They look like our children. They may look like a spouse. They may look like that, the lack of a spouse. They may look like a pet. They may look like a boss. They may look like a friend, an extended family member. And those triggers are truly just there to help us to grow into the best version of ourselves. They're really difficult. They're really annoying. They're really hard. Okay. In order to be able to face those triggers from a really strong place, we need to be taking care of and nurturing ourselves, because then what we do is we give ourselves like that energy, that ability, that power to approach and to take on those challenges in a way that we can win them. We can beat them. We can come out on top, and then we can show up for our children in the best way possible. So, there's regulating ourselves in the moment, and there's also taking the time to regulate ourselves in general, so that when we approach those moments, we might not be as triggered, right? Like if I start my day strong and things come up and they're difficult, they're not going to feel as bad as if I start my day from a really low place. So we spoke about getting our needs met. Getting our needs met on a regular, consistent basis is a way to help us start our day from a strong place. If I'm making sure to get my needs met, then in those moments when I get triggered, it's not going to be as difficult for me. Okay. The same way that we want to care for our children, in the same way we want to nurture and nourish our children and their souls, we need to nurture and nourish our own, because your soul, what you came here to do, your growth, your happiness, your fulfillment is as important as your child's. It just is. If you want to teach your children that they're important, they need to see you valuing and knowing that you are as important. So we have all of those ways that we can get our needs met. And then what about in the moment, right? Because there are so many things that will trigger us in the moment. What are words and things that you can tell yourself in those moments so that you can handle those challenges in a really empowered way? So the first way to get to that, to knowing what you need to know and hear in those moments, is to know what you're believing about yourself in those moments. What is coming up for you? I'm unsupported. I can't do this alone. I'm not cut out to be a mom. Mothers are supposed to know the right words to say and I don't have them, right? What's keeping you from taking care of yourself? The belief that you have about yourself as a parent is really important to notice. What are the words that are coming up for you when you are in a triggered moment? What is coming up for you? Okay. And what do you need to hear? What are the words you need to hear in that moment? What would you tell your child if they told you those same words? Right? It's not something that I can tell you. I don't know what you need to hear. It's something that you need to spend some time, and maybe you can take some time after this class is over to sit and write down. Write down all the things that keep you from taking care of yourself, and also write down all the things that you're telling yourself in a moment when you're super triggered. A lot of them might be the same. By the way, you're going to see a lot of overlap, because usually the internal dialogue we have going on in our head is the same, regardless of what's triggering it. There's usually like these underlying limited beliefs, we call them, or the words that we're telling ourselves that are bringing us down. And once you have those listed, then you write on the second side of the page or a different page, what are the things you need to hear and to say? What do you need in those triggering moments? What have you been missing? Right? And I'm going to give you an example actually, which I think will help drive this point home. Yesterday, it's a personal example. Yesterday, to get my kids off to camp was, kind of like a normal challenging moment. It wasn't super challenging, but there were like a few things. But what happened was when we got to camp, we pulled up. My son didn't want to get out of the car, but he was doing like this evil cackle laugh, like, ha, 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 I don't want to get out of the car. Ha, ha, ha. And he wouldn't really let me unbuckle his car seat. He started off by locking the car from the inside every time I tried to open the door. So it was like I had to make sure to unlock and open really quickly. Then he wouldn't get out of his car seat. And then then he ran to the back part of the minivan. My daughter was taking time to get out. We're in car line, right? I'm being rushed to get them out of the car. And because there's other parents that need to pull up and they're being like, just taking their time and being super difficult. Finally, I get my son out. I'm like, and he's laughing. Okay. He's laughing at me. He's laughing at the situation, which is triggering for a parent, right? Can feel like he's laughing at me, or he doesn't take this seriously, or he, disrespectful, whatever it is that will come into your head in a moment like that. So I'm taking him out of the car. Finally, I get them both out of the car. Oh, also they're like, I want to give their little sister hugs and kisses. And so it's like taking extra time and they need to get out. Anyway, they finally get out. And then my daughter's like, oh no, I forgot my stuffed puppy in the car. I was like, okay. So I go back into the car. And as I'm getting into the car, what do? I bump my head really hard on the car, like so hard it hurt so much. I actually had a headache for like some part of the day from it. It was so hard. And I just wanted to scream. The insides of me were screaming. What were they screaming? They were screaming, what do my children want from me? They were screaming, I'm so alone in this. Like, why isn't my husband here dropping them off at camp? Why is it always me dropping off at camp? I had no support this morning. Why are they so difficult? Why does she need this puppy? Right? Like if she hadn't asked me for this puppy, I wouldn't have bumped my head. So I give her the puppy. I'm calming myself down. I'm noticing the voices that are coming up. I'm calming them down. Those voices won't go away. They might diminish, but they will be there in some way because they're there to tell us, like the next part of our growth. So I take the puppy out. I bring it to her, get back in the car, close the door, and then I start crying. And I started crying because it was a whole release of emotions and also because my head hurt so much. It was just like a physical reaction to bumping myself. I'm sharing this with you because then what happened is I had all of this like anger that came up inside of me. Like, this is what happens when blah, blah, blah. And this is and I wanted to call somebody and yell at them because I started to think about what they did that was so annoying to me. And I wanted to just like take out all my frustration and anger out on them. Whoa, where's that coming from? Right? And I didn't. So I'm sharing this with you as a semi-success story. There are times when I lose it and I don't hold it together and I'm not able to notice my triggers. But what I did notice was the voices that were coming up in my head, my wanting to blame really quickly for the fact that I bumped myself. Like, who can I blame that I got hurt? Because somehow that the pain will be diminished when I can find someone to put it on and to blame, right? What did I need? What do I need in this moment? And what do I need in general? And all these voices started to come up of feeling like this unsupport, like I shared, like overwhelm. Okay, so that was my message for myself. That was a message for me to know that I need to look for ways to help myself feel supported and help myself not feel overwhelmed in all of those challenging moments that are happening. But it's telling me that it's not just in this moment. It's like a dormant voice that is there, that exists, that I am not paying attention to enough. I'm not noticing enough. I'm not listening to it enough. And I really need to start to, so that when those things happen, I won't be as triggered. I'll be able to regulate different, more calmly and differently. It's those voices that are beliefs. And the beliefs are what's keeping us from taking care of ourselves. So I think this is a really, really important topic. I hope that it helped you. I wish for all of you to be able to appreciate yourselves and take the time to take care of yourselves and notice what these triggers are, because it's game changing when we're able to. My messages are always open. Please feel free to email me any questions you have, any topic suggestions that you have. I love to hear from you. And I thank you and appreciate you for being here. Have a wonderful day.